dancing on TikTok would ever be a part of the marketing strategy?
It actually is very sophisticated and trying to do too much too fast.
Understand your client, understand your customer to whom you are focusing it.
100%. That they tend to skip steps.
Now you've been into market for more than 20 years now.
So because we joined them very early on, and not a lot of startups actually end up scaling or growing as they would like to. So good marketing for me is the intersection between science and art.
Welcome back, X to 10X, another episode, and we have been joined by Noha Zeid in PH Studio 14. Welcome, Noha.
Hi.
How was your day today?
It was great. Excited about this conversation.
That's nice, and especially the weather is also getting little cooler now, yeah?
A little bit.
That's nice. That's nice. Now, everyone try to catches a big fish in the market, right? Everyone is trying to catch a big corporates. Why you decided to start with startups or SMEs?
All right. So the idea behind GroundUp was that I wanted to give support for early stage startups. When you look at big corporates, they can typically afford having a fully functioning marketing department, starting with a CMO and a full structure to support him or her. But when it comes to an early stage startup, usually they cannot afford such a setup. And that is why I thought that there is a gap that we could, or an opportunity that we could potentially go after, which is supporting the early stage startups or the SMEs with marketing experience, not necessarily full time, but in a cost effective manner. So allowing for a fractional setup, which is a utilization of the time in return for a fraction of the cost, making it a smart solution for a startup or an SME.
Now you've been into market for more than 20 years now. What is the biggest mistake you think like people are doing over and over again, especially those are like into startups?
Two things come to mind, right? One thing is a little bit generic and the other is in marketing. The first one is mainly trying to do too much too fast. So you can say that there is a little bit of a lack of focus. Almost every discussion that I have with a startup usually comes even before they launch their first market, is that we want to go to Saudi in a year, right? Which usually dilutes resources, dilutes attention, effort, and the best approach is usually to focus your efforts, focus on geographies, focus on a single service or a single product, know how to crack that first, and then start scaling it in a core market, and then start expanding and scaling. So I would say a little bit of focus is required, especially at the very early stage. The second thing is in marketing, which is that they tend to skip steps, right?
Okay.
So you can find that the startup did not really spend time identifying what the brand is, what the identity is, what is the communication strategy that they're going after, what is the channel strategy that they're going after, and then going ahead with a campaign idea, right out of it. So I think that the foundation is very important, and you need to build everything off of that foundation. So skipping steps, I think, is something that they tend to do.
They do again and again, right?
100%.
Yeah. So focus is one thing, and then skipping the step. Like you should not be skipping the step. Understand your client, understand your customer to whom you are focusing it.
100%.
Right. Great. Now, if you have to describe yourself into 3 words, and none of them can be marketer, what it would be?
All right. So the first one would be learner. I think throughout my life, I like to always learn, especially about the topics that I'm interested in, my field of work, and everything that surrounds it. And the idea of being a student at any point in life actually is very exciting for me. So that would be one. The second one would be possibly builder. I like the idea of building something from scratch.
Okay.
Be it a project, be it a campaign. It's the seeing it through from the very early seeds to flourishing is something that also brings joy to me. And the third, I think, is the one I'm most proud of, mother. I'm a mother of 2 boys. So yeah, that role is a role that makes me very proud.
Very nice. And Builder is the example of like you have started this ground up consulting from the scratch and
Yeah.
helping people. You have used a term smart marketing in your this startup. How is it different from traditional marketing?
All right, that's a great question. So the smart marketing is twofold, right? So it's the operating model to begin with. It's an out of the box operating model. It's not your typical marketing support that you would give a company. And because the early stage startup cannot afford a fully functioning marketing department just yet, they need to find these smart solutions. Sometimes they go through the path of either the founder double hatting as the CMO, or they just go about hiring very junior team members who can execute but don't necessarily have the strategic experience. And the operating model that we're trying to offer with GroundUp is the fractional model, where you get to hire fractional CMOs, fractional VPs, heads of marketing that have the right level of experience that will help you drive your startup at that early stage with your go-to-market and with your launch. So that's the first way of how untraditional it is. It's the operating model itself that's a little bit new. That's one. And then the other thing is with what we do with the marketing itself is that we are very aware that marketing is not a one-size-fits-all, right? And not all startups, even if they're at an early stage, they don't require the same amount of marketing. It depends on the industry. It depends on the level of investment that they have right away. And that entails or dictates the type of marketing that they would go after. And you would obviously want to have a very cost-effective marketing approaches that leads to the maximum impact and maximum results possible.
Okay, that's nice. Tell us the story behind this ground up consulting. What is a like moment, or it was like a slow builder? How did it started basically?
It was not an aha moment. It was, I would say, a progressive recognition of pattern.
Okay.
So I worked with big companies, I worked with growing startups, and I have found that some of the growing startups, whether I worked for or have closely observed, they did not necessarily build the right marketing foundation in the early stages. They do that later, right? And it's understandable because sometimes there are other priorities, right? So it could be that there is a product agenda that they're trying to go after. It could be that they're more operationally driven, so you want to focus on operations first. There could be multiple reasons why a founder would put the marketing or the marketing foundation on a back burner. All right. So the idea was that I was seeing this pattern. I was seeing it happen across a lot of industries. And obviously the friction point here is whether they can afford to or not. So the cost element. And that's why I've had this idea, in my mind for quite some time, which is why not offer a cost-effective operating model for startups. It was not aha. It was definitely a slow build.
Yeah.
And after having worked in marketing field for over 20 years and in the GCC and growing startups for around 7, I thought it's the right moment to actually step back and do this.
Nice. Great. Usually working with the corporates give you a quicker result, right? The big corporates. Like what is for you like the rewarding point for working with SMEs, especially in UAE or GCC?
So the rewarding point is the ability to join something from the very early stage.
Very nice.
Build something. So I told you, like, I like to build stuff. So being on the seat when we're just defining what the brand is about, how do we want to go about our marketing, what's the go-to-market approach? These are very exciting discussions. And then seeing it through, right, from idea on a paper or a PowerPoint to actually being on the ground, on shelves, online with the consumer is actually quite exciting. There is a level of ownership that is quite different on the startup stage rather than the corporate. I mean, corporate, you get to obviously work with very bigger budgets. You have a lot of processes. It could be much more structured. But also, it's rare that you own things A to Z.
Correct.
Right, and that is something that is very exciting on the.
For SMEs, it is easier to explain. It is easier to
100%.
approach directly with the decision makers, right?
100%.
Okay.
Much less bureaucracy as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's correct. If marketing were a dish or a menu, what it would be?
I would say a very attractive looking, colorful salad.
Okay.
It might seem simple, but it actually is very sophisticated and it fuels the
Wow.
growth.
Very, very well explained. Yeah, exactly. Salad looks like it
Made
is
it
like,
much more sophisticated.
yeah, exactly. And who's gonna eat? People think that, but it is very healthy as well
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah.
Great. Any weirdest moment, Noha, you have ever gotten like while dealing with the client?
It's never really a single moment. It's sometimes I would get unrealistic expectations, right? For example, expecting overnight magic to happen, or expecting, massive results across region with a very little budget that can barely accommodate one market. But I guess it's normal that, and it's actually the role of the marketing expert at that stage is to actually have conversations and educate the founder on what can be and what can't be done, and deciding together on a course of action that guarantees the best result for the company. But yeah, I mean, marketing is sometimes perceived as that magic stick.
Correct.
While it's actually a very scientific path. It's not very magical. It's science meets art, and the results are either long-term or short-term. Each initiative has an impact, and as a marketer, you get to orchestrate. But I think the idea is that not everyone is aware of what each initiative can actually achieve. And that's where why the conversation actually needs to be ongoing with the founder. And I actually believe that it's more of a partnership, right? Rather than a client and a service provider relationship. It's more of a partnership in that sense.
And also marketing required some time, because it is not one time thing, like you go, you buy a jacket and then you leave the store, right?
100%.
It is more of like consistency, keep posting it, keep doing it, definitely. And that's how you build relationship.
Yep.
Also, right? Between a corporate life and now entrepreneurship, which gave you the more stories which you can laugh on?
So I actually had a few adventures of entrepreneurship prior to GroundUp across my career, in parallel with my corporate career. I would have to say the entrepreneurship is the one that leaves me sometimes laughing, sometimes crying. I think it's because there is much more stake. There's much more involvement. It's your own thing. So emotions get to, play a role. So definitely, whether with GroundUp or with previous entrepreneurship adventures, as I call them, there are much more memories.
Yes. That's nice. Great. I'm not sure how TikTokers will like this question, but do you think dancing on TikTok would ever be a part of the marketing strategy?
So if your brand and your audience allows it, it could be a very fun marketing tactic. It is not a strategy though. TikTok dance is a stunt or an initiative in one channel on social media. There are multiple other channels that you can go for as part of your channel strategy. So this is actually building to the point of skipping steps and trying to go viral overnight. If you just rely on that, you can create some noise for sure at best, but then you would actually not see results long term. So definitely it's something that needs to be accompanied by a full-fledged marketing strategy that then stems down into your channel strategy.
So every product or every channel has different marketing strategy, right?
100%. And one of the biggest misconceptions is that you can create one social media plan or one social media initiative and then replicate this across. You actually need to be thinking how you can be native to the platform as possible. Some are more video driven, some are more text driven, some you need to interact with the tools that the platform brings about. So it's definitely not one size fits all.
Definitely. And also, Noah, I want to understand, like, do you have a prepaid plan for everyone which you give it, or you go and do the strategy, you do the study first for the brand?
Any client that we interact with, we have to have a proper diagnostics, and that's
Okay.
the most important part of the project,
Okay.
because that's where we get to understand what the challenges that the client has, what are the objectives, what are the resources that they have, and every client and every company has a very different path than the other. So it's not a playbook that you can replicate. Now, obviously, marketing does have a few principles that you can, have overlapping across domains, across startups, but it cannot be, the only thing you rely on. The proper diagnostics actually allow you to customize something that's tailored to that company.
Okay. Unlike the Panadol is for everyone, the same Panadol cannot be for headache for everyone, right?
100%.
Everything required the diagnosis which you meant. Very well, very, very nice, very great. Complete the sentence. This good marketing is like.
So good marketing for me is the intersection between science and art.
Okay.
Right? And the best results come when you can actually have data-driven insights and, complement that with creative storytelling in a way that goes out to your audience and is relevant and understood by them. Sometimes people think it's just advertising, but it's much, much more than that.
What does success look like for Ground Consulting for next 5 years?
Obviously, we want to support as many startups as possible and see them scale, right? So because we joined them very early on, and not a lot of startups actually end up scaling or growing as they would like to. So being there to be part of that journey and support in any way or form across different industries, that would be one. And another thing is that creating a platform for fractional marketers.
Okay.
The marketing talent that are interesting in part-time and fractional work to actually thrive, and joining GroundUp as a platform to unleash that part of their career.
Can you share any case or any project or case study, like where the client were on the traditional marketing, then you converted into smart marketing, and what was the result?
So I have something that's interesting, not from GroundUp side, not from a client, but it's actually a very interesting case study. Are you familiar with the brand of ice cream called Halo Top?
No.
Okay, so it's actually now in the UAE in supermarkets. A Halo Top is a healthy ice cream.
Okay.
It launched in California 2012, and they were not doing very well.
Okay.
They went into the market for 2 or 3 years, barely sold 100,000 pints of ice cream. And then they reflected on how the brand looks like, on the packaging, on the design, and they decided to repackage the ice cream. The idea was that they brought the benefit first. So they amplified the health benefit, which was that it was lower in calories. So they redesigned the package. 240 or 300 calories per pint is very, standing out in the design. They reduced the clutter, and then they went to market with this new approach, obviously doing other initiatives along that, with PR and all that. And then it started to take off. It was like a hockey stick from there on.
Okay.
Because of that small shift, it repositioned the brand. It really focused on what it was about. It differentiated it from other brands. So the reason why people would actually go and grab one versus a Haagen-Dazs or a Ben & Jerry, who are much more popular, became very evident.
Okay.
It was also helpful that it was targeting a niche segment in California back then, who are, health and wellness focused. And it started from there, and then it took off. Now I think they sell like 25 million pounds or something. And it's considered a small span of time. I mean, they started in 2012.
Definitely. From 2012. From 2012 to now, like in a small span of time, this much number, it's really a good number. And actually now that's a good for me, like, so I can have healthy ice creams also.
100%.
That's
a little bit more expensive.
Definitely. Healthy things are always expensive. That's what I have seen.
100%, because it's not mass. It's for a certain niche, and that niche is expected to invest a little bit in their health and wellness. Correct. So the affordability is there, and they play on.
Yeah. So if you still want to have a ice cream and still want to stay healthy at the same time, then you can definitely try. Noha, if you were not be doing marketing, what do you think? What you would be doing it?
I actually wanted to study filmmaking.
Okay.
So the path of directing movies or series and script writing
Mm.
was actually a path that I was really looking forward to study. But then it ended up being marketing, which I guess is another form of creative storytelling, if you will. But yeah, I mean, and I'm not losing hope on writing. I want to do that one day.
Okay, maybe inshallah.
Yeah.
And like you said, definitely marketing is a storytelling, like
Yes.
how to tell your story in a different way. That's
Yes.
all. And the filming is also similar to that. That
Yeah.
is different. Yeah. What is the funniest or like strangest thing someone have ever said to you while doing marketing?
I was actually introduced in an all hands, a company all hands, as the person who spends our money. Which was quite interesting. Obviously, it was in a joke context. We were launching a big campaign. It was a big investment back then. And the person introduced me as the one who spends our money. And while it's a joke, there is an underlying, feeling that marketing is a cash burner, which is actually very funny because marketing, if done right, would actually help you to be on the path of sustainable growth.
Okay.
I.e., not burn cash. But it was interesting to find that position that way.
Okay.
In an event.
Okay, finally, one piece of advice you would like to give those startup or founders, those who think that they can do the marketing by themselves, making a posts on Canva or doing at any advice to them?
So listen, I mean, it is very important that the founder is involved in the brand building.
Okay.
But there's a difference between being involved in the exercise and really putting his heart or her heart out there in how to build the brand and being everything else in marketing. There's an Egyptian saying, it's loosely translated in English to let the baker bake your bread. Right? So if you want to have good bread, you don't need to be the baker. You can go to the baker and then you'll get the great bread, right? Which is, try to hire those that are experts in that subject matter and try to surround yourself with those. And obviously, an early stage of the startup, maybe you cannot hire in-house everyone, but definitely try to either partner or outsource or find those that can actually help you with all these matters. And it's not just, by the way, on marketing, it could be multiple other things, right? Because what they do is, while bootstrapping, they try to be everyone and everything. And I think the most important role they have to play is how to hire and recruit the best possible to actually help them forward. So yeah, so that's what I like. There are other people that are good at doing so. Definitely don't disconnect from building the brand. No one will know that more than you. And you need to be in that stage, but you don't need to design.
Yeah. Especially we have seen that if the founders are involved in the operational work, then they are not able to see or take the team towards the goal. Because then you stay away from the goal, then you get into a small things. Yeah. And like you said, let the baker bake your bread. Yeah. So they can bake it better for you. You just tell them how you want to bake it, rather than baking it by yourself. Yeah. That's great. And that's wrap up today's episode. A big thank you to Noha Zeid for dropping some serious marketing wisdom, that marketing is not only about a burning cash or spending money. It is about how cleverly you spend it. If you are a startup or SMEs in any part of the world, you can contact Noha for your campaign. Until that time, keep smiling, stay in touch. Thank you very much.